Hello learners, we have done with part 1 of the lesson Fire, Friend and Foe from your Honeycomb lesson 8 and class 7, right? Now let us revise this part 1. So in part 1 we have seen that early man did not know how to make fire, but he must have seen the destructive power of fire. He must have watched lightning and volcanoes. He was afraid of it. And today we know that fire is a chemical reaction. The air has oxygen, while fuels have carbon and hydrogen. When the two combine, energy is released in the form of heat and light. And this is what we call fire. Now, three things are needed to make fire: fuel, oxygen, and heat. The common fuels are wood, coal, gas, and petrol. Oxygen comes from air. That is why when we blow on burning paper, it bursts into flame. Fuel and oxygen do not make fire themselves. They need heat, isn't it? A lighted match, it provides heat. When fuel begins to burn at a particular temperature, and that temperature we call it as the flash point. And now in modern life we use fire in many ways. It cooks our food, warms our homes, and produces electricity. However, it is only the controlled fire which serves us very well. When the fire goes out of control, it becomes a bad master. Each year, I think you might have heard, many homes and shops are burned by fire. Fire destroys forests and kills human beings also. We have also learned how to put out fire in three ways. Now, the first way is we can take away the fuel. The second way is to stop oxygen from reaching the burning material. So now, in part 2, let us see the third way to put out the fire. Now let's read the lesson. The third way of putting out a fire is to remove the heat. If the temperature can be brought down below the flash point, the fuel stops burning. You blow on a burning matchstick or a candle to put it out. In doing so, you remove the hot air around the flame, bringing down its temperature below the flash point, and the candle goes out. Sometimes water is sprayed on a fire. It absorbs heat from the burning fuel and lowers the temperature. The blanket of water also cuts off the supply of oxygen and the fire is extinguished. Extinguished means put out. Now let's see its explanation. Now we have already done with two ways of putting out the fire. Now the third way to put out the fire is to bring down the temperature below the flash point. Then the fuel will gradually stop burning. For example, we blow on a burning matchstick or a candle to remove the hot air around the flame so that the temperature comes below the flash point and the candle goes out. And another way of removing heat is to spray water on the fire. So the water absorbs heat of the burning fuel and reduces the temperature. So the water, just like carbon dioxide, forms a blanket around the fire and cuts off the supply of oxygen, and finally it stops fire, right? Some fires cannot be put out with water. If water is sprayed onto an oil fire, the oil will float to the top of the water and continue to burn. This can be very dangerous because water can flow quickly, carrying the burning oil with it and spreading the fire. Water should also not be used on fires caused by electrical appliances. Appliances means tools. The person spraying water might receive an electric shock and be killed. A carbon dioxide extinguisher, extinguisher means a tool to help put out fire, is the best thing to fight an electrical fire. So now here, spreading water is not a good way of putting out an oil or an electrical fire. So you can see in the first image, the pan is heated with an oil and you can see the fire. So in order to stop that, you should not use water. So if we spray water on an oil fire, it goes on burning. It is so because oil flows to the top of the water and continues burning. So the flowing water and oil only spread the fire. Now, we should not pour water on an electrical fire also. In doing so, we may receive an electric shock and get killed. Carbon dioxide is the best thing to fight an electric fire. We spend millions of rupees each year in fighting fires, and we spend more trying to find new ways of preventing fires. Preventing means stopping from happening and getting out of control. On the whole, we have learned rather well to control fire and put it to good use in our everyday life. So we humans, we spend millions of rupees each year just for one purpose, that is to fight fires. Not only that, but we spend a lot more money to find new ways of preventing fires, that is how to stop this fire from happening and also getting out of control. So we spend millions of rupees in order to find new ways by which we can control fire and put it to good use in our everyday life. Long ago, there were no firemen. When the fire broke out, so when fire broke out means started, everybody became a firefighter. People formed human chains. Human chains means a chain made by human beings standing one beside the other. You can see in the image. They still do if required and passed buckets of water from a well or a pond to the blaze. Blaze means fire or flame. Now there are laws about building construction which ensure that space is left between buildings to reduce the fire risk. Every new building, especially a public place, must ensure the observance of fire prevention norms. So here long ago, there were no firemen. Okay, so only the village people, when there was a fire, it was only the village people who acted on that. So how did they do? So they have passed buckets of bucketfuls of water and they poured on the fire. So they used to bring water and throw that bucket full of water on the flames or on the fire. Now there is a law. So what is that law? That there should be space left between two buildings to reduce the spread of fire from one building to another, and also to install fire extinguishers in every big building also. Bands of firefighting workers with special equipment known as fire brigades are there to put out fires. Now bands means groups. Firefighters are highly trained people. So firefighters are persons who are trained to put out fire. They possess many skills. They cut off electric supply, knock down dangerous walls. Knock down is break. Spray water and other materials to bring fire under control. So here, if there is a fire, then fire brigades, who are bands of firefighting workers with special equipment, will be there to put the fire out. So these firefighters are highly trained people. They're also very skilled people. They can do 5 things. So what is the first one? They cut off electric supply. First thing they do is they'll cut off the electricity supply. Then knock down the dangerous walls. So big walls that they knock down. And spray water. Then bring fire under control. They are also trained in first aid so that they can help people suffering from burns or from the effects of smoke. Burns means burnt body parts. So here these firefighters give first aid to the people who are suffering from burns or from the effects of smoke. The discovery of fire and its uses helped early man to cope with nature. Cope with means deal with. better and gradually adopt a settled mode of life. Gradually means slowly. Fire is still worshipped in many parts of the world. Fire is indeed a friend, but as we know, it can be a dangerous enemy once it gets out of control. So, the discovery of fire and its different uses had helped early man to cope with nature better. Moreover, it was due to fire that we were able to adopt a settled mode of life. So, this fire is still worshipped in many parts of the world because people are grateful for its help and also they are scared of the damages. So, fire is a friend of ours, but it turns into dangerous enemy if it gets out of control. Is it clear, children? I hope you all have understood the lesson that this fire is a good servant but a bad master. So we need to update ourselves with the facts of fire to keep it under our control. Okay? Thank you.